Welcome back to the Mountain Witch Tarot channel. I am your host, Sarah, and today we are talking about Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's upcoming meeting at Quantico. This is an unprecedented gathering of several hundred senior U.S. generals, admirals, and select senior enlisted advisors from across the globe taking place on Tuesday at the Marine Corps base in Virginia. A lot of people are saying that nothing like this has ever been done before, that it's unheard of, so we're going to do a little snooping today and see if we can't figure out what kind of things are going to go down, what we can expect from this meeting. Real quick, before we get started, please take a moment and hit that like button. And if you're new here and you enjoy political divination, feel free to subscribe, stick around, become part of the community. We would love to have you. Now let's get started on this tableau. We are actually going to start a little different than normal. We're going to start with the heart of the story, which is the center 4 cards. A little bit of an obvious statement here. We've got the White House, communication, chatter, nervous talk, gossip, and the military. So let's go ahead and start filling in the tableau and see what else we can get. So we're starting off here with something a little bit frightening. And with these first 3 cards, I really kind of get the sensation that what we all fear is most likely the case. We're talking about alliances, political violence, and something standing in the way. And then we have an opportunity for something new in the public eye, something that grows larger. Here we have, normally this is our administration card, but in this reading it will be Hegseth himself. And it looks like he is extending a very shocking invitation to the military. So let's keep going, see what we get. The Book and the Crossroads and the Snake. This is definitely some type of shady proposition. For sure, this is about offering alternative routes that are not necessarily on the up and up, and the secret strategy therein. So whatever these strategies are, we're not going to know about it until it's probably too late, I guess. I'm laughing because I don't want to cry, but definitely seeing a sense of, alternate routes that are not necessarily routes to honor and dignity and honesty and all the good things. Definitely a lot of bad energy there. And this is conjunct with basically the messaging coming from the White House. So again, big energy here that we already know exactly what this is about. Personally, I'll tell you my take on it. I thought it was going to be like a big nothing burger. I kind of thought that it was just Hegseth and Trump flexing and being melodramatic. So personally, I am a little bit shocked at what the cards are telling us right now, because it is making it seem like this is a more severe, dire situation than what I expected. So let's keep going. My first inclination here, because of the influence of the sickbed card, and also because Trump fell down on the second line, Pete Hegseth's up here, so he's in control of this situation. This is very much his baby to rock, if you know what I mean. Maybe like all his idea, his strategy, his plan. He's in control of this Quantico situation. Donald Trump is not far behind him, but we are seeing some type of hint here that really there's only one thing that comes to mind in the event of Donald Trump's passing. Or maybe Donald Trump is unwell and unable to do whatever it is he spends his days doing. Because we got the anchor in the sickbed here, so that just, really implies being stuck in the sickbed. And Trump attached to it directly. So let's go ahead and get the third line. I feel like this is something to do with the perception of the military. And I think I forgot to mention this, but before I did the spread, I set my intentions to find out what Hegseth is up to, what Trump is up to, and how the military reacts / responds to this scenario. So basically, like, what is their take? How do they see this? How do they react? And I think that's the answer that I'm getting right here, because it's answered my question about Hegseth, my question about Trump, and now it's answering my question about the military themselves. And we do have the clouds to represent confusion and discord and information coming about that. The rider here, since he's on the edge and he's facing away, we're not really getting too much about him just yet. We'll get more context shortly. The clover and the clouds is not good together, because the clouds are basically shading small opportunity or luck, and kind of, disguising risk. So that's not good. Let's keep going. I think these center two cards here, if we read them independently, probably looking at a situation where there's a lot of talk amongst the military. People are talking, personnel is conversing and, kind of going into their own environments and saying like, hey, what are you thinking about this? How are you taking this? Like, what are your thoughts? I think they're talking a lot behind the scenes about it. Here we have the safe. Of course, everything Donald Trump does is motivated by his own financial gain. So I'm not surprised at all to see that card here. I almost took that card out. Something told me not to. So could be that they are going to offer a lump sum of money in exchange for some type of cooperation. And then we have the stars in the tower, which is quite obviously the spreading through government. So we have something spreading through government. Now, there's a few different ways we could read this line, especially with like the cloud card and then with this side of the reading and the anxiety at the center surrounding the military. Kind of looks like, I don't think the military, if this line is any indicator, I don't think the military is going to respond to this the way Donald Trump wants them to or thinks that they will. And I don't think Hegseth's going to be all that pleased with it either. This is kind of giving me the feeling that they are getting nervous and feeling quite uneasy about how this situation spreads through government. Okay. And I will say, just for the record, this is actually contrary to what I expected. I don't have a whole lot of hope these days, so I was expecting the military to most likely go along with whatever these two harebrained nitwits come up with, but kind of looks like not so good. They're not feeling great about this. So let's get the fourth and final line, and then we will get the fate line. End of a burden, financial flow, recognized as self-interest, as, dishonorable or not in good faith. And any type of agreement will basically be forever. So I think this line is telling us kind of several things that, of course, once we isolate different blocks, we'll get different pieces of information. But it is interesting here how the cards doubled up a couple of times to emphasize, coffin and cross, not good. The ship and the fish, both references to water, movement, progress, deep concern, deep issues, deep emotions. And we have like the emotional energy of the moon here and its connection to water. So that's kind of three cards once you factor in the moon, where there is self-interest reflected and recognized, possibly by the military. And then this agreement, this selfish agreement, would be forever. It would be long-standing. There could even be a hint here that it is detrimental to the well-being of the country, because we have, the government above, the spreading, the sickbed, Trump himself, this kind of shocking invitation, all of this energy coming down here. So there's not necessarily a lot of negative cards here, but you read Lenormand in pairs, and then once it gets to this agreement with the trees and the well-being, kind of looking a little bit like, oh, this is not good, not a good agreement. So let's go ahead and get the fate line. And here are the cards we did not get. We didn't get the mice, we didn't get the loyalist, we didn't get the bear, didn't get the heart, didn't get the stork, and didn't get the key. Very interesting. We're going to lay these off to the side here. So let's take a look at some connections and intersections here. What connects Trump and Hegseth in this situation? The anchor, which, the anchor, I tend to read it in political readings as a neutral to negative card. That's not normally what it is in Lenormand, but that's it's a slight reassignment, sort of, depending on the context, and also the lightning card. So this kind of gives a sense of a quick drop, so to speak. So it's almost like this is about preparation for something that they're going to drop quickly, okay? And that's kind of like what's connecting them in this situation. And I think also, I'm going to go ahead and just say it because I feel it. It feels very strong energetically. I think that this, situation with the sickbed, I think that the insiders and the administration and Pete Hegseth specifically, they know that Trump's not well. They know that things are getting bad quick. And I think that they are doing whatever they can to prepare because it's going to drop quickly when it happens. And so it's kind of looking like that's a factor in this, oddly enough. I don't know if Trump even really understands what's going on in Quantico. He played dumb on camera the other day, which is a pretty typical gaslighting tactic that he uses frequently, where he dismissed a reporter's question by being like, oh, yeah, world leaders? What? Yeah, it's fantastic. I don't know anything about it. That's how he gets away with not answering any questions in good faith, is he just pretends like he doesn't know what's going on. But there is a possibility that he sometimes doesn't know what's going on. It's hard to say which is which at this point, but it's interesting that what connects Hegseth and Trump here has a lot to do with Trump not being well and something happening quickly. And so this big, beautiful idea that Hegseth has had is, kind of like energies combined with the fact that Trump may drop abruptly. So let's take a look at connections and intersections for Hegseth, Trump, and the military themselves. So here's the military. Here's Trump. They connect through messaging and government. So I think there's going to be a lot of Uncle Sam wants you type of speeches and energy. He's going to try to frame this in a way that it's their duty, that they have to do it. So there's a big emphasis on messaging and probably what would I call that? Just kind of the whole nationalism concept of like loyalty and duty, and you have to do this and you have to do that, because here we have messaging, government intersecting. What connects Hegseth? Publicity. He wants public recognition for this, and he wants money for this. So these two cards intersect with publicity and money. Now, here's an interesting concept as far as like intersections go in the cards. Let's say the military and the scythe. What connects them? Their loyalty to the country and money, finances. Being cutting loyalty, cutting finances. Very interesting. And what's in between? The fox and the moon, which is a pretty good indicator of, bad faith actions and selfish decisions and recognizing those things as they happen. So we're getting a lot of good indicators here that the military is not really going to be 100% on board for this, but let's keep going and see what else we can get. So let's look at, because this card for political violence has been especially important in readings as of late. So let's look and see what connects and intersects with the military and political violence, public and small little bits, fleeting moments, opportunities. So very interesting. Public violence. This is reminiscent of Trump sending the military themselves, not just the National Guard or ICE, to Oregon, or at least threatening. We haven't seen them on the ground yet. So keeping in mind that he can't always be trusted and you can't believe everything he says, we have not seen them on the ground, but we do have small public presence of the military on the ground. Loyalty and commitment to this regime and to Hegseth and to Trump. Military, confusion, commitment. So this is a confusing commitment. Public kind of factors in here because that's another intersection. And the things that are in the middle is that they hear the messaging of the White House and they find it to be malicious in the way that they're going about it. They are recognizing that this is not, on the up and up. So there's a lot in between the military and commitment to this situation. I don't think that they're going to be as committed as Hegseth and Trump want them to be. Based on what we're getting here in the cards, does not look like they are going to want anything to do with this. Hopefully they don't just hold their nose and go along with it. Hopefully they push back in a big way, but we'll see. Let's take a look at the intersection of military and the handshake, the agreement on this situation. It's connected by the moon and the stars. Now, in Lenormand, one of the most common meanings for the moon and the stars is fame, recognition, notoriety, being in the public eye. Basically being a celebrity. So it's kind of interesting that the two cards connecting the military with this agreement is fame. Maybe you guys can decode that in the comments. I have my thoughts, but I'll let you guys have that one and see if you can kind of figure out what the connection there is. And it doesn't, and here's fortune, by the way, I just spotted that, fame and fortune. But, then at the center, we have the safe and the fox, which is like doing your job, doing what you have to do to survive, but also being there in self-interest for monetary reward. So I don't know what the cards are trying to tell us here. It seems obvious, but I don't know. Maybe they're worried about the notoriety. Maybe they're worried about how this looks to the public. Maybe they are concerned with if they just follow orders, like they're going to lose public trust, and that's not what they want, in the end. Maybe that's going to be like a big defining factor. It should be, but in this day and age, you never know. You never know. So, but it is here on the board, so interesting to point out. So I'll tell you, there is a lot. There's a lot here. I don't know if I should go into all of it. I don't want the video to get too long, but we're going to go ahead and move on to the fate line, and then we're going to check the four corners and kind of see what we've got, because we already know what's in the center since we started with the center. Now down at the bottom, we've got the sun, the whip, the lily, and the scythe. I think simply put, what we're seeing down here is that the military has been shown time and time again where Donald Trump's loyalty does not lie. Okay? Not where it does lie, but where it does not lie. That's what I'm getting from these four cards, is that they have no delusions about what it is that he's after. I think they, they're smart enough. They know, they see the writing on the wall. Looks a lot to me like they're not feeling real good about this situation. I think Trump and Hegseth being up here together, they're kind of off in la la land, thinking this is going to go in a direction that it's probably not going to go in. And collectively, their energy here is, I kind of have to laugh at this block of cards because it just is so spot on accurate. We've got Hegseth and his big bright idea the concern for Donald Trump's health and how the regime stabilizes a situation where maybe he drops out of the equation, the considerations for finance and kind of keeping the dream alive in the government, the self-interest, the, basically the alliances that they build and how long they'll last. Like, this whole thing is just blatantly their thought process when it comes to everything. And it's all kind of drawn out for us in pictures right there. And then let's see what we've got over on the other side. I think the other side is mostly supporting energy, because this feels like this is moving very fast. And I can't describe to you exactly why I say that. It's just something I've noticed that happens in tableaus sometimes, but it just feels like this is supporting energy pushing this way, and that this is really the most important block here. And then here we have, crazy, the military stuck right in the middle of all of this. So with the four corner cards, we've got the the enemy or whatever's in the way, a quick, fast, in a hurry situation, an ending, and a long-term situation, or, the well-being of something. And I think really, if you break that down, it's just commentary on the energy that is kind of focused here and towards the center. It could be that these are two different ways that they can go, because we do have energy of the crossroads up here. This situation can come to an end very quickly. And we can end up with, this evergreen situation, looking at our military from an evergreen perspective of them doing what is right, upholding the Constitution. Or we can look at it as a situation that changes things forever. So really, it's all going to be in their hands. They are at the center of this story. They know what they're being told. They know the messaging out of the White House. They've got to make the decision on their own. They've got to look past the nervousness that this is causing and make a solid decision. And let's see, is there anything else? There's so many little details, but I don't want to, take all day pointing out every single little thing. But there's a lot here. So I guess we will go ahead and call it there, folks. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you're a card reader and you see any things, that maybe I didn't cover, maybe something I missed, please feel free to point that out in the comments. Like I said, there's some really interesting, I'll stop, but there's still a little bit more, but it's, it's just details. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click the like button. And if you are new here and you enjoy political divination, feel free to hit the subscribe button and join the community. Stick around. We'd love to have you. And until next time, folks, I will see you later.